Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Before we dive into the video, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon. Let's dive in. The sting on my cheek wasn't what hurt the most. It was the silence that followed. No one spoke. Not his wife, not the waiter, not even my trembling hands, frozen halfway between the plate and my lap. Hook. Imagine raising your only child alone, sacrificing everything, only for him to slap you in public. What would you do next? My son, my only son, had just slapped me right there in the middle of the restaurant, in front of his wife, his friends, and strangers who turned to stare. And all because I had reminded him of his late mother. I had raised Daniel alone after my wife passed. She'd fought cancer for 3 years before leaving us, and I had promised her as I held her frail hand for the last time, he'll never feel alone. I'll make him a man you'd be proud of. For 25 years, I lived for that promise. Every late-night job, every missed meal, every pair of worn-out shoes, I told myself it was worth it. Because one day he'd look at me and say, "Dad, I made it." And for a while it seemed like he did. He got a good job, married a beautiful woman named Lily, and bought a big house in the city. I thought I had done something right. But then the visits stopped. The phone calls grew shorter and eventually the invitations never came. Last week, he called out of the blue. "Dad, come have dinner with us," he said. "Lily's parents are in town. I want you to meet them." His voice was warm again, almost like old times. I dressed in my best shirt, polished my shoes, and even brought Lily a bouquet of flowers. I was nervous but excited. Maybe this was our chance to reconnect. When I arrived, I noticed right away that everyone was dressed elegantly. Lily in her silk dress, her parents in fine suits. I stood there in my old gray coat holding the flowers, suddenly aware of every wrinkle on my face and every tremor in my hands. Lily's smile didn't reach her eyes when she saw me. "Oh, you made it," she said. Daniel patted my shoulder quickly as if touching me too long might embarrass him. "Dad, just try not to bring up any of your old stories tonight, okay?" I chuckled softly, not realizing he was serious. "Don't worry, son. I'll behave." Dinner started off politely enough. Lily's parents asked about my work, and I told them I had been a carpenter for 40 years. I spoke with pride, explaining how I used to build furniture for local families. But then Lily interrupted with a little laugh. "Oh, Daniel doesn't really talk about that. He's in finance now, a completely different world." Her tone made it sound like my life's work was something to be ashamed of. I smiled awkwardly, feeling the heat rise to my cheeks. Yes. He's done well for himself. His mother would be proud. That's when I said it. The name that changed everything. "You know, Lily, you remind me a bit of my late wife." She had the same kindness in her eyes. Before I could finish, Daniel slammed his palm on the table. The dishes rattled. Everyone froze. "Dad, enough. Don't bring her up again. Not tonight." The sharpness in his tone sliced through me. I looked at him confused. "Son, you always do this," he snapped, standing up. "You make everything about the past. You embarrass me in front of people." And before I could even blink, his hand cracked across my face. The sound echoed like thunder. I sat there in silence, the sting spreading across my cheek. Hook. He slapped his own father to impress others. But what happened next shocked everyone, even him. Lily gasped, and her parents looked horrified, but no one said a word. Daniel's eyes darted around, realizing what he'd done. He muttered something under his breath, then turned away as if I were the one who had caused a scene. I slowly stood up, straightened my coat, and picked up the flowers I'd brought. "I think I've overstayed my welcome," I said softly. No one stopped me as I walked out. That night, I sat alone in my small apartment, staring at the empty chair across from me, the one that used to belong to my wife. Her photograph smiled from the shelf, calm and kind as ever. "I failed him," I whispered. But then I remembered her words from years ago, the last thing she ever told me. If he ever forgets who he is, make sure life reminds him. And so I did. 3 days later, Daniel got a call from the law firm handling my estate. The house I owned, the one he assumed he would inherit, had been sold. Every penny, every possession, even the small savings I'd tucked away, was transferred to a new account. In the letter I left for him, I wrote, "Son, love can't be measured in money or appearances. I gave you everything I had so you could stand tall. But the man I saw at dinner doesn't stand tall. He hides behind pride. I've donated my life savings to a charity that builds homes for children without fathers. Maybe they'll grow up to remember the value of respect better than you did. When you learn humility, my door will always be open. Until then, you'll find me not in your world of glass tables and fine suits, but among the people who still remember what kindness means." Weeks passed before I heard from him again. One evening there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find Daniel. His eyes red, his posture defeated. He looked smaller somehow. "Dad," he said quietly, voice cracking. "I lost my job. Lily left. I don't know what to do." I said nothing, just stepped aside and let him in. He stood in the same tiny kitchen he'd grown up in, looking around as if seeing it for the first time. "I don't deserve to be here," he whispered. I placed a hand on his shoulder. "Maybe not yesterday, but today's a new day, son." He broke down then, sobbing like he hadn't since he was a boy. And as I held him, I felt something inside me finally heal. The scar on my cheek had long faded. But that night, for the first time in years, I felt my wife's presence again. Because forgiveness, I realized, was the real lesson she'd left behind. Moral: respect isn't owed. It's earned. And sometimes it takes losing everything to learn what truly matters.